Recently, I watched a movie on Netflix called Ordinary Angel. And if you haven't seen it, I think it's a must watch for anyone. It's based on a true story from the early 1990s in the United States. And honestly, it perfectly explains why Canadians should be terrified of privatized healthcare. In the film, a young mother dies shortly after giving birth to her second child. Her husband is suddenly a single dad with two young daughters. He's grieving, he's overwhelmed, he's barely holding things together. And then the bills start arriving. Nearly $500,000 in medical bills from the hospital. And if that wasn't devastating enough, his younger daughter develops liver failure. She needs a transplant to survive. Another couple $100,000. Now, imagine that for a second. You've just lost your spouse. You're raising two children alone. One of them is fighting for her life. And on top of all that, you're staring at more than $600,000 in medical debt. You're behind on bills. You're in danger of losing your house. This isn't some exaggerated Hollywood storyline. This is what healthcare can look like and does in the United States. And it's not rare. It happens every single day. Medical emergencies bankrupt families in America all the time. But here's the part that really gets me. There are people in Canada who are actively advocating for privatized healthcare or a two-tier healthcare system. And when you listen closely to the argument, it usually sounds something like this. Well, I live a healthy lifestyle, or I have benefits through work, or I could afford it. And to that I would say this. Universal healthcare isn't supposed to be a reward for good behavior. It's protection from being financially devastated by nothing more than being alive. Because life doesn't ask for permission before it throws something at you. You can live the healthiest lifestyle imaginable and still encounter a drunk driver on the highway. You can be sitting in a cafe when a car jumps the curb. You can give birth to a child with a congenital heart defect. You can develop cancer. You can have an accident. Healthcare isn't just about personal choices. It's about what happens when life blindsides you. And here's the fundamental difference between the two systems. In Canada, when something terrible happens, you worry about getting better. In the United States, people worry about going bankrupt. And the people who say they're okay with privatized healthcare because they think they can afford it, that's not healthcare policy. That's privilege talking. Because what they're really saying is this: I'll be fine, so the system works for me. But healthcare should never determine who survives and who goes bankrupt. A civilized society doesn't ask people a question like, can you afford to live? Which brings me to something important that's happening right now in Canada. There's a petition E6982, that calls for healthcare and education to be constitutionally protected in this country. The petition has already passed the 10,000 signatures needed to be presented in Parliament, but we still have time to make it much bigger. Because the stronger the public support, the harder it becomes for governments to chip away at the system piece by piece. So if you're someone who believes that healthcare and education should remain a public good in Canada, I'll put the link in the description so you can read the petition and sign it if you agree. And before I end this video, I want to leave you with one simple request. Anytime you hear someone advocating for privatized healthcare in Canada, ask them this: what happens to the people who can't afford it? Just ask that, and then pause, because you can learn a lot about someone by how they answer that question. Pay attention to it, because I'm confident that not one of my followers would ever support privatized healthcare in Canada if it meant people could go bankrupt from medical bills. But shout out in the comments if you support a fully funded universal healthcare system in Canada. Peace out, and if you're not already following me, you should. It's going to be a ride.